Hello and welcome to Songs Brew. I'm Zara.
I'm Julia, and today we're gonna talk about StreamTok Syndrome. I was about to say Stockholm Syndrome, but it's StreamTok. But either way, they're pretty much combined together.
Yes, it kind of came from that whole idea that I sometimes feel like we know TikTok is not that great for us, and yet,
Yet we scroll and listen
uh-huh,
and sing and repeat the
yes,
pattern all the time.
yes, I feel like this is a little bit exposing also for myself, maybe for you as well, on how much I actually use TikTok. And
Yeah.
when I was writing it, I was like, oh, maybe I need to delete the app. I
But
got a bit, yeah.
when I was like reading it, I was like, yeah, I definitely have StreamTok syndrome. Like
Me
there's no
too.
doubt about it. And I don't know who doesn't have StreamTok syndrome nowadays.
That's,
Or
you know
maybe my
what?
mother or father because they don't use TikTok.
You might have a really good, I don't know anyone who doesn't use it, or like at least they have an account or something so that if you send them stuff, they'll be watching it. And I also don't know, and I don't know if you can remember how I ended up on TikTok. I don't know if somebody sent me a TikTok or somebody recommended TikTok. I don't know how I ended up there.
I remember because I created my own TikTok account like 3 years ago, I think. I was like always team reels on Instagram. And then I moved to my cousin's house and she was like, "You're not using TikTok?" And I was like, "No, I don't. I'm using reels." And she was like, "Oh my God, you're such a boomer." And I was like, "What? Like reels are funny enough, so I don't need TikTok." And she was like, "No, you're not catching up with the trends. You don't know anything what's going on in the internet. You're sending me reels that were like popular 3 months ago on TikTok, so you're."
Oh,
And I was like, "What? It's impossible." And I was like, "I'm never gonna create my own TikTok account. Like, never. I'm never gonna use it because then I was like pretty sure that I'm gonna be obsessed with it." And I
mhm.
was right because I created it eventually and I'm like scrolling and I can spend like 3 or 2 hours like scrolling TikTok videos. And yeah, that's how I spend my spare time.
I love it. And I know I shouldn't, but, and this is something that we speak about, it's so easy to consume. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And yeah, so, but most of my reposts, anything I say most, I think all of my reposts are actually music. So if you, yeah, and I also do videos and stuff on there, but they're just like rubbish ones. But all of my reposts are music. I didn't realize for a very long time when I started using it how many artists use it as well.
Yeah.
So that was interesting to find out. But the more that I repost, the more I pay attention to because a lot of it's indie artists and they're using the platform to try and like get their name out there. The more I use it, the more I realize that they don't have lots of heart, like lots of likes, lots of comments and lots of shares and stuff. And I think, God, they're putting these like nice bits out there, and then there's like people like me who's just doing a little repost, right? But it doesn't seem to translate into anything because the views are quite low. And then I'm like, and we're getting these clips of their music for nothing, for free, and it's not going anywhere.
Yeah,
And I
no.
can't, yeah, I can't honestly say. So some of them, if they say like in the, I think available on Spotify, though I don't love Spotify, I do try and find them elsewhere, or YouTube, or like I prefer Tidal. So if they ever come up with that, that's 100% where I would go. Unless they say that, I don't always go to their profile and follow them. So I'm perpetuating the thing that I'm complaining about, which is why we ended up with the StreamTok syndrome, because I know it's bad and I'm still doing it, and I probably will do it later. I'll probably go back on later and I'll be, oh, ha ha ha, that's funny, ha ha ha. And then a musician, I'll repost that, da da da. And I feel like, okay, so I'm helping because maybe somebody sees them through the reposts or they get extra engagement. But I also know that it doesn't really translate to anything. They've got to be really lucky to go viral.
Yeah, I mean, this is like great platform to get discovered and also show your art in every possible form that you can do actually. But still it can be very difficult to also go viral. Like sometimes it's just a matter of enough luck, you know what I mean?
I do. I
But
massively
also
agree.
algorithms are changing constantly. So
Yes.
sometimes it's like really difficult to catch up with everything and sometimes you have to post like a few times a day for like a couple of months to start getting more views. And we know it on our own
Hmm.
example, I think. No matter what content you actually send, sometimes you go viral just like that. And sometimes it takes like really much effort and time to actually get to that point when people know you from this song. And sometimes you get to go viral and still people don't know who you are. Like they remember just this 15 seconds hook that goes viral on TikTok, but nothing else.
And I think that's really sad in a way. And I think it was maybe last year or the year before, an artist that had gone viral on TikTok and had millions and millions of views. And they had not the same amount, but a similar amount of plays just on Spotify, but it was just on one song. The rest of their catalogue was untouched. So say that one had millions and millions, whereas their other songs that didn't hit that viral, people weren't clicking through them and going to those songs. They were listening to that one, maybe adding it to a playlist and then going off about their day. So it didn't seem to foster any sort of loyalty to the artist. It really is just about that song in that moment.
Yeah, because it's just trending and that's it.
Exactly. And it's kind of sad. But what I also didn't realize until I actually joined TikTok, and then if you get a certain amount of followers or whatever, you can join different programs. There's a music one, and you get paid to use, well, to the artists or the management or whatever will pay for people to use the song. And it's not a lot of money actually in some cases. Like there might be a budget of, I saw one for $800 and they wanted people to make a piece of content and it had to have specific things in the background and they had to mime along to the song. And there was one I also saw which was a higher budget, but they were asking specifically for people to have like a sunny background as if they were on holiday. And they use that portion of the song and then they get paid a certain amount based on how many views they get of that song. And I thought, wow, I wonder how many artists are putting money into that, not realizing that, or maybe they do realize, I don't know the mindset, right? That if they've got an $800 budget and it only splits across 3 or 4, let's say, influencers or TikTokers or whatever you want to, like video makers, content creators, and they don't get that many views, that's then wasted. I don't know how beneficial that is versus putting that 800 into a smaller, like, well, relatively smaller marketing campaign somewhere else, because it just seems a bit, I don't know.
I mean, I think that it can be beneficial if you like try to get to content creators who have like documented views on TikTok and the data that they actually getting those views no matter what video they send over the platform. So it can go like both ways, to be honest. And I think it's easier to go viral or trending on TikTok if you are an actual artist, like bigger one who has like tons of followers on other platforms and a lot of monthly listeners on Spotify, Tidal, YouTube, whatever. And then if you like creating your own TikTok account with your own sound there, then you have more chances to get viral than indie artists that's just going to put a song on TikTok. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I feel like sometimes new artists or rising artists, or however you want to term it, they feel a pressure. And I think people in marketing will understand what I'm about to say. They feel a pressure to make sure they are on every platform and they are putting content on every platform and they are constantly performing, even when that platform doesn't necessarily benefit them. Like
Just
one of
about the
the,
being on this specific social media and being like
exactly.
present on this platform just to be there because everyone's there.
That's it. That's it. It's TikTok and everyone's there. They should use that as a slogan because everybody is there. Like we said earlier, I don't know anyone who's not on there. I really don't. And yeah, I don't know. I
Yeah,
think the
this is
pressure to be everywhere and do everything also incorporates TikTok because there is that slight chance of going viral. And viral used to be like 10,000, 20,000. It used to be not so much years ago. Now, when people are talking about viral, they are talking about millions and millions of views, millions of likes, hundreds of thousands of comments. Like the artists couldn't even keep up if they tried.
no.
So then I'm like, okay, so you've got all of these comments and all of the, and you lose the ability to interact with your fans. Not that they have it, from posting on Spotify, for example, but it must be overwhelming when they do go viral when they're not used to it. Because if it's an indie artist, assume they don't have massive label backing. We could probably assume they don't have media or social media training. And then it's like the other side of the coin is it's got to be so much to deal with. So going from nothing to having everything, and then when that moment passes, back to the nothing, it must be difficult. Like it's just,
Blowing your mind.
yeah.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I think it's difficult to be basically an artist and any social creator nowadays because it's very difficult, especially that if you haven't like tried it in the past and haven't been there for a while already, it's like really difficult without any special trainings and knowing the algorithms and how people respond and react to specific things like trends. And you don't know what's going to be a trend in another week
Hmm.
because it's like changing so fast and constantly that sometimes when you want to go with that trend, it's already outdated. So
Yeah.
like you
Yeah.
never know. Either way, you go with the flow. Like just right now, don't think about it, or you're gonna be out.
Yeah, just post stuff. But then I think there's always the worry that if an artist just starts posting their actual life or what they want to do and what they want to say, when they do get picked up by a label, or maybe it puts a label off because they've been too honest or too open or too transparent about what they're doing and how they're doing it. And then it might go against how the label or management or whoever wants to build their reputation and their aesthetic and everything about them. I don't know. I think it's a very stressful thing. I think hearing it, so you did the interview with Rosemary, hearing that social media was one of the things that was an issue made me think about it a lot more in terms of if you didn't have the support of a label or a group or a team, how horrible it is. Because as you pointed out, you've got to be all of these things. So they have to be their own editor, their video videographer, their everything. And then TikTok is just on the top and they're hoping to go viral. And then there's us on the other side of it, literally scrolling past.
Yeah, and don't pay attention. Yeah, just like Rosemary mentioned, she wasn't aware that you have to be everyone in a team that you actually need. And it's not that easy to just create a video and post it. Obviously there are people who like enjoy doing it and they're doing it on a daily basis, and sometimes the content that they create is not as difficult. If you have like a lot of followers, then it's like easy to create and post because you have like a background to it and you have an audience who's gonna support you or be there for you just for the views, for example.
Yes.
But if you're like starting, then it's like being a director, creative manager, photographer,
Hmm.
everyone in a team. And still you have to be yourself as well, not to get lost in all of this mess. So yeah, I think it's really difficult to get discovered right now in social medias basically. And if you think about social medias, you think TikTok.
Yeah.
So when's everyone there are like a lot of people and a lot of competition to actually get the spot that you want.
Yeah. Something I was thinking about is as an artist. So, oh, actually, I'll kick the question directly to you. If you were an artist and you went viral on TikTok, just views, but you didn't have any engagement, you didn't not really have loads of streams, you didn't have people on different platforms coming to find you, would you feel like that is a success or not?
I think that I would feel that this is a half success, like halfway being there, but not fully, not completely,
Yeah.
because there would be like a lot of factors that I would still miss to get to the point that I want. Because having views is one thing, but having engagement and audience is
Mhm.
completely other thing. And I think it's more difficult to actually get the audience to engage than to get views.
Yeah, I think engagement, the reason, I mean, we say the word engagement, but what we really mean is we want people to care enough about what we're saying or doing for them
Yeah,
to
like have
engage. So we just
your
want people to
own base
care.
of fans. Yeah,
Yeah,
like
I just want people to
loyal
care.
audience, not just the one that's gonna comment, oh cool, and forget about it.
Like thumbs up, hearts, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the other thing is, if you were an artist and one of your songs got picked up, again, it's going viral, 15 seconds, but they're just doing a dance to it, would you feel like your work has been diluted? Would you feel like it still had the meaning that you were hoping for it to have? Assume it's not like a dance track, right? That you've put out. Would the meaning of the song and the importance to you be diluted if everyone's using it to do, I don't know, a random dance?
I don't know. It depends on how much this song would be important to me, I think.
Mm.
Because if it would be like really emotional song and people would be dancing like chickens, for example, then
Yeah,
I would be like,
that's it.
what is wrong with you people?
Hmm.
You know what I mean? I think that the context here is really important because if people don't understand the context of the song, lyrics, and the emotional side of it and the story behind it all, then doing some funny things for it, it's not completely what I would like go for. And I think that I wouldn't be that happy. I don't know if I would be happy at all, to be honest, because if this would be like really personal, for example, song, really,
Hmm.
really personal, that took me like huge amount of my emotional presence to write it and to record it, to get through it, for example, then people dancing into it like for example chickens again, hypothetically, then I would be like, this is sad that people don't understand it at all.
I actually have an example of that. So Hoja has a song called Cherry Wine, and the video is about domestic abuse. However, when it made its way onto TikTok and people weren't really listening to the lyrics, I guess, and didn't ever see the video, they were using it as a romantic song to the point that people were getting engaged to this song. And
This
people
is
who
really
listen
sad.
to it and know what it means were like, this is a very odd choice. And I think this speaks to what you were saying about the context. The context of the entire song seemed to have gone missing. And people then read it as like a romantic song, but it never was. And maybe that's one of the issues with TikTok because we cut down the songs to 15 seconds. It can be any 15 seconds, and people who have never heard it before will take that at face value. It could be the best 15 seconds of the whole song. They
Yeah.
run with it, it becomes a trend, it goes viral. The artist is left wondering what on earth just happened, but maybe thankful for the views and maybe thankful for the streams. I don't know how much TikTok really helps artists, but it still doesn't stop me reposting.
Yeah, same. Same. I think I'm never gonna scroll and I'm never gonna stop scrolling. Oh, this is
No.
what I wanted to say. But I think that this is like good point that you mentioned that it's sometimes about those 15 seconds. And if people don't listen to a full song, they don't know the context, they don't understand the lyrics. And sometimes it happens that within those 15 seconds, you get an image of something totally different than it actually is. So the problem here is that we are lazy, I think,
Yes.
because we're not like very much into listening to a full song. Instead, we're just
Hmm.
caught up in this 15 seconds and we're gonna like sing it and go like every time with those 15 seconds, but not a full songs. And when you're like listening to a full song, you're like, this is not exactly what I like. And I like those songs only because of those 15 seconds. And you're gonna like sometimes skip it to those 15 seconds to listen to it and
Hmm.
forget about it. So I think that this happens because we are lazy.
I agree. And so the question becomes, do we actually care that much? And then also,
I think
and then,
we're so maybe not overwhelmed, but surrounded by a lot of things nowadays and a
mhm.
lot of content, like even on streaming services and streaming platforms, then we don't care anymore because there are like too many things that we see and listen to that we don't have like this ability to put a special attention to more important things.
And then,
I mean,
so
not
agree.
all of us, obviously, but most of
Yeah,
us, I think,
I
yes.
think that's safe to say.
I mean,
I think we can.
I found myself in such circles.
Yeah, we're not alone in it for sure, because if we were, there wouldn't be like millions and millions of users and billions of pieces of content every day going out. So we're not alone in it. But then the question is, should we care? Should we be more mindful of not the memes and stuff that we can consume, but as people who are, we appreciate music, we like what artists do, we want to support them. Should we be, every single time we hear something we enjoy, making a point to add it to a playlist, making a point to give it streams outside, make a point to go over and go through their back catalogue? Should we only consume musical content on TikTok when we intend to do something about it, or is it fine?
I mean, those are really difficult questions, but most of them I would say yes, but I know how the world works, so probably it's not gonna happen. So like it's too difficult nowadays. And I think that because most of us live in a rush nowadays, we do have enough time to do some things, but we're too lazy to do it because we think that we don't have that much time.
Yes.
So this is like wrong circle over again.
All
Yeah.
the way down the funnel into nothing. Oh my gosh. I don't know. I think the more I read that article, which is weird because I also wrote it, so I know what's in it, but sometimes I read it back and I'm like, I give myself food for thought. One of the things that I actually mention is within the phone itself, we can add self-imposed timers. We can also go on tech detoxes, turn off notifications and all that kind of stuff, but eventually we do go back to it. If we did that with TikTok, if everybody did that with TikTok, would this help or hinder artists? Because was it Benson Boone who he went viral very quickly on TikTok, and then all of his songs that have come out
I
since
think
have been
so.
I'm not sure which way around it was. I heard of him first on TikTok.
I think I might have heard him on TikTok first, but I don't remember it. But yeah, he was like very viral and clickable on TikTok and shareable as well. So I think it goes both ways. It depends also on what kind of music you do.
Yes, and if you can find your audience on TikTok.
If it's like something that most of the people would like or would listen to, and it's like a specific genre, then I think you get more chances to get discovered on TikTok or any other social platform. But basically, if you're like creating something not ordinary, I think it's actually harder because not everyone's gonna like it, because we're not used to some things, and because we're like overwhelmed with a lot of music. Actually, you're
Yes.
gonna listen
Yep.
to something that's most musical to your ear, and like have this special melody, and sometimes lyrics is not as important as the melody itself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think it's interesting. I'm kind of thinking that because of how I interact, because I think this is it, right? So we know most people interact with TikTok in an unhealthy way. And I don't mean how they support content creators and like the likes and the follows and the watching the lives. I don't mean that. I mean the hours a day it is possible to spend on there. I think most people would say, yes, that is an unhealthy habit. And now I'm thinking
It's like
I
being
fall into that
addicted to
category.
something. So
Yeah, I'm falling into that category, and I'm like, well, if I didn't consume that musical content on TikTok, would that artist miss my view? Probably not, right? It's just one view. And so maybe I probably need to delete the app. Maybe.
don't do it, because you're gonna be a bummer then, and you're gonna be out of trends, and we need you
That's
here.
true. Just I'm gonna be like a little old lady, like, what's that? What's that meme? I don't know. And yeah, that's the thing. To stay on top of trends and stuff, TikTok is the place to be because everything moves so fast there. Everything is so fast there. Oh my God. See, that's it. That's why it's StreamTok Syndrome, because it's a trap and we can't leave,
It
and
is.
we want to stay for
Like it's
whatever reason.
Stockholm syndrome. Like it's literally the same.
That's it. Yeah.
Like TikTok is not a person, but the app. So
But it's for sure holding me hostage. That much I
yeah,
can tell you.
yeah.
And do you know what? Apparently, I don't care.
And I like it.
Apparently, I'm gonna stay. Oh God, it's bad. It is bad. I I love that it gives artists the opportunity to be seen by millions. I do think that's fantastic. I would love to see some percentages of how many of the people that see in those millions see a video when it goes viral, what the percentage is that feeds through to the streams, and then what percentage of those streamers, the ones that are listening, stay as fans. I would love, and there probably is some metrics somewhere to have a look at, some
Probably
data
yes, but
somewhere.
I don't know if it's like available just like that.
Yeah, I might have to have a look.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
have to dig into the internet and see if it's
that's
possible to check.
it. See if we can find
Because right
make
now I'm
make
so interested in it.
make sure that we know what we're doing is actually helping. So, because I don't feel like it is. But yeah, it was one of the most interesting pieces when I sit and think about it, because it forces me, and I hope people who read it too, and maybe this discussion too, to consider how I myself and others are interacting with musicians and artists, and could I be doing a better job? Probably, which means most people probably could, and that backs up your statement of we are lazy like 100%.
We could, but do we want to? This is like, you know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
sometimes we want to, but we're like, okay, I'll do it later, and just one more TikTok and I'll go back to it, and we're
Yes.
never gonna go back to those TikToks again. So yeah, it's like never-ending loop, I think.
Hmm.
Yeah, but sometimes, I mean, there are also good sides of those stories. I mean, I love to see the artists that didn't like have tours or songs for a long, long time, and then
Hmm.
suddenly they appear on my TikTok, and I'm like, oh my God, they're releasing new music. This is so great.
Yes.
And then I have like a lot of TikToks with their songs, and I was like, oh my God, how is it possible that I missed that? And
That's a good point.
yeah, so I think that it can help to
Hmm.
get you get back to be discovered or seen or remember.
Hmm.
But this is like this point that I mentioned, that you have to be somehow popular in the
Yeah.
past.
Yes, and I think Kate Bush did it, didn't she, with Wuthering Heights and running up that hill. She got back into the top of the charts because of TikTok,
And
because people started
Stranger
using
Things,
it,
I
and then
think, because her song was like included. I haven't watched it, but I've heard that this is
yeah.
from Stranger Things.
And it's things like that that bring artists that, I mean, they're not going to fade. There's always going to be Kate Bush fans. There's going to be millions of them, but it brings it to a new audience. And there, I think, okay, that's fantastic. I love the fact that much younger people, much younger, early teens or whatever it is that are allowed to use TikTok,
Yeah,
are finding these songs and enjoying them with completely fresh ears. They haven't heard them a million times like most people have, and they get to find that I think is incredible.
it is. It is. It actually is, because it's like getting you a fresh start, I think, because you have like your fan base and everything, but then you have like this new opportunity to reach even more people who's gonna love you. And this is, I think, what happened to me. Like when I've heard this song, like Running Up That Hill, right? That was the one from Stranger Things. So when I heard it, I instantly added it to my playlist, and I was like getting ready to go out from my house, and I played that song, and my mother was like, "Oh my God, how do you know this song?"
Mm,
And I was like, "This is a new one." And she was like, "No, it's not a new." And I was like, "What?"
I love that so much. See, I never watched Stranger Things.
And me too, me too.
Yeah,
I just like this song.
I never watched it, but I did see a lot of, when again on TikTok, people using the video, and I think that's really cool. There's also the other thing is when you haven't heard a song for a long time, not necessarily Kate Bush, and it's not gonna suddenly go to number one across the charts, but you haven't heard a song in a long time, and your FYP is quite niche, and it comes up out of nowhere, and it reminds you of a song that you used to enjoy. That's also, I think, lovely. That happens to me quite a lot, and I'm like, oh, I forgot this was even a thing, and I'll go and I'll find it on my streaming platform, and I'll add it to a playlist that it makes sense to go into, and I'll put it on repeat for like 3 weeks, and it's fantastic. So there is that as well. But I have mixed feelings on this one.
Like always, we always have mixed things.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I remember that when I was younger, like when I was like, I don't know, teen maybe or something, or even younger, there was like this popular band. They're from Germany, I think. Tokyo Hotel. I don't know if you know them. Okay, so they were like very popular in Poland and basically in Europe, I think. And they're mostly rock band, I think, because I've heard some
Mhm.
of their songs. And I was like, I completely forgot that they have ever existed until this one day when I was like scrolling on TikTok, and I've seen their huge comeback with the song that was popular like 10 years ago, or I think even more. And I was like, oh my God, I used to love this song when I was like young. And they had like, I think, German version and English version, and I love both of them, but the English version I can understand. So
Yeah.
so I listened to the English version, but German one is good as well. I think it's called Monsoon or something like that. And I added it to my playlist, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't remembered that I love this song. And I was like playing it all over time on repeat. And my boyfriend was like, turn it off. I cannot listen to it anymore. Like, it's like fifth time that you're listening to it. I'm done. And I was like, but this is like so great. We need to listen to it one more time. And then I saw that they're releasing new music. And I was like, oh my God, they're like really, really good. And I was like so happy to actually go back in time a little bit and have this like memory that I used to listen to this song and I didn't remember it until I heard it. And I was like, oh my God, thank you, TikTok, so much.
See? Oh no. I don't know. I think for now I'm happy to just be in the have the syndrome. But I do think at one point I am edging towards deleting the app or using it in a different way because it feels funny, I think, to me sometimes on my conscience when I'm like seeing stuff and I'm talking about it and I know that how I interact doesn't actually support the artist. If I really liked them, then what I should be doing is more about it, not just a repost, but like actually going and interacting and liking the profile and things like that. So I think I got caught up in the speed of TikTok instead of using TikTok at my speed. So I think there's that. But yeah, oh my God.
I mean, I have like mixed feelings that at one point I love TikTok and I love scrolling and like watching those sometimes funny videos, sometimes stupid, sometimes just videos of
Yes.
something, sometimes tricks and hacks like for lifestyle, which sometimes travel, like sometimes you get so many recommendations on TikTok that it's hard not to use it when you want to check something, how
Mm-hmm.
to do something, basically. But like when thinking about the artist and basically people who want to get discovered on this platform, there are like so many factors that I hate
Yes.
and that are so difficult to overcome that
Mm-hmm.
it makes me hate this platform at this point. But this is like the thing, it depends on from what side do we look at it, from like business side, business perspective, or our personal, like personal one.
Yes, I agree because from a taking personal completely out of it, I think the platform is a vital part of any strategy. I think it should be used.
Yeah, because most of the people use it.
I think a budget should be on it. When we was talking earlier, that really little budget, $800 is not going to go very far. But if you've got a budget, this would be a great place to use it. I think people should invest in TikTok specialists and content creators to make that really pop. Taking personal completely out of it, that is what I think. I also think it could potentially be incredibly beneficial for artists when used in the right way. So then I would think that TikTok training for new musicians, artists, and even indie labels and stuff should be something available somewhere. It might well be. I've never looked into it. Personal side, I'm probably using it wrong and I'm probably going to stay there. That's it.
Yeah, this is how we can end this video.
Yes, okay. So we're all the way at almost 40 minutes, but it's probably because we've been away for a few weeks. So I'm very, very glad to be
Yeah,
back.
I
Yes.
felt like this is like my first podcast since forever, to be honest.
Yeah, it
Right?
does feel like that. But it reminded me how much I love to discuss what we
Yes,
have, yeah, what
exactly.
we've been discussing. It's really nice to talk about it off the page a little bit and go around and have a conversation about it. So yes, okay. That's it. Thank you for watching. I've been Zara.
And Julia, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.